Good evening and welcome to the February 26th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, good evening and welcome. We have a pretty short meeting tonight, and then we will adjourn to a budget workshop. So our business section of the meeting will be somewhat truncated here. But any announcements? I have one that tomorrow night's, or is it Thursday night's? Thursday night's meeting of the Old Home Days Committee has been canceled. So,
the workshop for the planning board tomorrow night has also been postponed.
okay, so and the workshop for the planning board that was scheduled for tomorrow night is also being postponed. And I would just suggest that if you're interested in transfer station right now is going to be open, or
No, yeah,
tomorrow.
We'll make that decision then.
Right, but I mean, it looks like this isn't going to hit until later tomorrow, so so stay in tune with the town website or different. We publish
You
and
put it on all three television stations.
on all three TV stations. So if the transfer station and or the town office does happen to close, it should be on that. But I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that we have had winters like this before. This is not unique, even though most everybody in the news media would like to get everybody to believe that this is a unique winter. It does snow in Maine, so frequently. Any other announcements, David?
Historical Society on Thursday night has also been canceled.
Okay, Historical Society Thursday night's meeting has been canceled. Anything else? Okay, we have no appointments this evening. Hearing a delegation, Dwayne.
He's just a delegation hearing.
Correspondence. Again, the weekly treasurer's financial reports are in there. Representative Aaron Libby's newsletter, Ecomaine's newsletter, the legislative bulletin, and a couple of communiques from different finance committee members relative to the budgeting, finance committee converting to budgeting committee. Reports, staffs, and initiatives, selectmen's reports. Gordon, anything?
Yeah, I've got one thing I'd like to share with the board this evening. I had occasion this afternoon to be over in Lake Arrowhead on business over there, and I stopped by their office. And as I was starting to go in, there was a gentleman there that confronted me, and by way of introduction, he says, "Oh, you're one of the TV stars, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And so we got into a conversation, and what it boils down to is he had some high praise for the board. He said that this board has really come together, that he enjoys, watching the meetings here, and he went on to further say that he was real pleased at how well the town is being run, in particularly how we're doing financially. He said that when he made his decision to move here, he was a little apprehensive about making the move, but he said that he was very glad that he did because he really loves living here, and he's pleased with how the board interacts, and he says he watches some other towns, which I will not mention, that I guess are a little more animated, I guess, say from time to time. So I just thought I'd pass that on to you, that there are people out there that think the board is doing a good job, contrary to what sometimes we hear. But and John and I attended the advocacy meeting, but I'm going to actually, I think, let John speak to that because he spent more time there than I did because of a little confusion on exactly which time the meeting started, whether it was 9 or 10, so he got there well before I did, so.
Okay.
That's it.
Tim, you?
Yep.
David? John?
I was there for the whole thing. Of course, different that I hear about half of what's going on. So Gordon was there for the last part of it, but you hear 100% of what's happening. So in distilling what I did get is that the major focus of the discussion, although there was an agenda with economic development, education, York County Community College, general purpose aid to education, etc., but where really the energy was on municipal government and revenue sharing. I don't know where the Republicans were on this, but most of the people in there were talking about getting more revenues rather than cutting back expenditures. And I realized that a lot of the people there were from municipal governments, and we universally don't like the idea of losing revenues to the town from the state in the area of revenue sharing. So we're pretty universal on that, and it was strong enough that feeling about that it would have been a little more difficult to stand up and say, you know, I agree that the state ought to save some money and cut revenue sharing to town. They would have not been received real well. So John Tuttle gave a list of the towns that were there and what it would mean to each one of us. And I think, Nancy, you've got the numbers on it, but for Waterboro, it's close to $1 million, isn't it?
I haven't got the numbers.
It's a huge loss, and what was figured out, the person with an average house of home of worth maybe $160,000, their taxes on just the loss of revenues from the state would go up about $88 per household. So that is, you know, when you're talking about increasing our taxes by $88 because of, let's say, building a new library, which people thought was not a good thing to do at the time, but also, let's say, if we're going to be ditching our roads and we're going to do some road improvement, you feel okay about that $88 that you're paying extra per year. But to pay it because the state is reducing their taxes is a little hard to take. So, and talking about tax increases, one of the areas was talked about lodging tax. And you go out to New York and you go to the other places in the country and you go and spend $125 for a room, it's $138 or $140, and there's an extra $20 lodging tax to the and people, you know, you might gripe a little bit to yourself, but you pay it. So I think if there's, I don't say I think it. I think there's a lot of people there thought that that might be a way that the state could gather extra funds, and that doesn't discount that the state does possibly have some management issues where they could save some money too. But that was the major discussion that went on at that meeting. It was robust.
Good. Anything else, John?
That's it.
Just from my part, notice did come out today, and Waterboro is and will again be a recipient of the Ecomaine Awards. This is recognizing David Pope, who was a teacher over the middle school, in his class on the effort that they did, which was really part of the Chewonki Zero Waste thing. So the awards ceremony and stuff is scheduled for Tuesday, March 12th at 10:30 to 1. So if anybody's interested in going in, I'm going to make sure that this year that I can get there. I know last year the committee went and there was some good responses out of that and whatnot, so, we'll make sure that, the town is represented there. I'm not sure what, or if we can get, David and his class there, but that would be a nice put, because they get a little tour of the facility as well, and it might be good, so. And I just wanna, thanks go out to, Nancy Roberge, who actually submitted the application and made sure that had gotten in. We had talked about it, and, while there was a lot of talk going on who was gonna do it, she just submitted it, so, anyway, 22 winners, we're one of those, pretty much spread across, the different member communities and a few of the contract communities. So, if you want to, attend that event, it's Tuesday, March 12th. And I think that is all that I have. Nancy?
Well, I see Doug's walked in, so I'm sure he's going to have 3/4 of my report is to do with the public hearing he attended last week, which again, I want to give him kudos. You did a very good job up there. And the other couple things I'll just quickly say is the Maine Emergency Management Agency is reminding everyone to make sure that their roof is clear of snow because of the snow that's coming on the way. And I have a copy here for the Selectmen at around 10 o'clock in the morning. There'll be a presentation to the Appropriation Committee on Municipal Revenue Sharing Program. And there is a link which is on the copy so that you can link up and you can listen to the hearing over the internet. That's what I did last week. I listened to the hearing that Doug went to.
Okay.
And I guess Doug's going to report on the hearing.
You all set?
I'm all
That
set.
it? Floor is yours, sir.
Well, as many of you know, a bill has been introduced on behalf of, it was put in by the Maine Municipal Association to put some rules governing turnback roads under the census part of turnback. It also had a quite wide-ranging effect on roads that would come back under the urban compact rule. I never brought that up, but I knew the two were tied together, and I figured that would be a killer of it, but the deputy commissioner, in his proposal up there, brought it up. It was a fairly lengthy hearing, as hearings go up there, and we went prepared with this bill to try to rein in the authority of the DOT and give some power back to the town of to the towns, Waterboro being one of them. I had some specific points. One of them was the intersection of 202 and the Old Alfred Road, where they were going to rebuild it until they found out that the rebuild was unacceptable to the citizens of Waterboro. And then when they found out the road was going to be turned back, they sent us a letter telling us that we could apply for funds to have the intersection reconstructed, even though they told us that the road they gave us back would have a 10-year lifespan. The intersection of 202 and the Old Alfred Road is the second most dangerous intersection, accident-wise, in York County. So the MDOT was immediately on guard. They didn't believe that what I was telling them. They scheduled a workshop for today at 1 o'clock, which I got notified on Friday that it had abruptly been canceled because MDOT was going to go back and do some research. During the testimony of the DOT deputy commissioner, he said that DOT did not have the funds to fix these roads up to snuff, but we should still take them back. And the representative from MMA said in all the times that she has ever been to anything concerning DOT, she's never heard them admit that they couldn't fix something, therefore they were going to insist that we take it back, however condition they wanted to give it to us. So since then, we decided that we had better put together another document or documentary on the old Alfred Road to submit to the members of the commission, of the Standing Committee on Transportation. I had taken 12 photographs of old Alfred Road, and I would ask each one of you to take a ride down and look from Oak Street until you get to the power line and stop and walk some of that and see the deterioration in that pavement. We have cracks that are more than a half an inch to 3/4 inch wide. We have deflection of, and I should have brought the pictures with me. I had them made, but now we're going to do something different. The road is actually where the pavement is separated. There is over half an inch and almost 3/4 inch difference at the cracks. So their failure to pre-seal the cracks in the road before they overlay it has a devastating effect on the pavement above it, because once it starts to crack on top, the water just goes right down between the cracks, gets down into the gravel, and on a day like today, that road's like a sponge. Had they have sealed the cracks, even if it's separated, the material they use to seal them with has elasticity and will give and take and will stop the water from percolating through to the subsoil. So now, with the help of David Lowe and with Nancy's permission, we're going to put together a video that's going to show these pictures. It's also going to show the intersection of the old Alfred Road and 202, and it's going to have the clip of the commissioner standing at this, sitting there, telling us that regardless of what they did to the road, we were going to take it back in a dictatorial fashion, not in a what I would call a good communicative way. You're going to do it, I'm God, and you're going to do it, and you've got nothing to say about it. So unless this board raises some serious objections, we're going to do that and put a letter preceding it, and this will be emailed to all of the members of the standing committee before they have their next work session.
Do you know when the next work session is?
No, they canceled it abruptly because DOT wanted to rebuke my testimony, and they needed time.
Yeah.
So there has not been another meeting scheduled.
I noticed in the legislative bulletin that came out, they talked about your testimony, and one of the comments from Department of Transportation was that there were 4 road turnbacks this year and only 1 was contentious. We've talked about those road turnbacks in the 12-town group, and no, we're not the only one that were contentious. Buxton had issues and Hollis had issues. So I'll make sure at the next 12-town group that gets brought up as well, and maybe some of those other communities can jump on board.
That was one thing that the committee had asked, and Kate Dufour from MMA said she was going to put together a list. But
All you gotta do is think about this for a minute, right? Most municipalities that go through urban compact are getting main streets back, right? 202s and 4s and, right? And these guys knew exactly what they were doing, right? You know, we're gonna give you a deal, we're only gonna give you 2 miles. And, oh, by the way, it happens to be one of the worst roads,
Yeah.
right? But if they had given us 202-4 or Route 5, might have said, well, yeah, it wasn't as contentious, but.
he felt that the title of the LD was artfully drafted.
Yeah.
And they are seriously opposed to this 3-member committee that would overlook the turnback roads and arbitrate disputes. That's a sticking point that they definitely want to get rid of. You know, I stopped and see my friend in Manchester, Maine on the way back from that committee hearing, and he said that they took back quite a few roads some years ago. He was a selectman there, I believe, and he said they were in terrible shape and it's cost the town a fortune. Look at the funds that we put into Federal Street, and Federal Street is in terrible shape right now. From where we finished it on across the flat is in real bad shape, but we're going to work. I'm going to go back up. John Sylvester's going to go back up, and we're going to try to, take and get this. I think timing is everything. I think that we will probably set that up at the right time so that we'll get it to them just before they get to the meeting, something of that nature.
And the committee did bring up good questions about, you know, if you're talking 10 years, why did you put a skinny mix? It's only, what, 5 to 7 years?
I made that point, tried to make that point very clear, that they said this was that according to their regulations, skinny mix is a 5 to 7 year cycle. And yet, they put it down on the road and tell us we don't need to do anything for 10 years. Then they tell us we can fix the intersection as long as we come up with the money. Well, we believe, from what little bit we've heard, rumor through John anyway, that they probably will look. He said there was federal funds available to fix the intersection of 202 and the old Alfred Road, and he thinks that that'll be on the proposal that had we applied for it, they would have worked with us, you know.
Yeah.
But they gave us this application saying we had to return it in, what, 35 days or something? You know, how could we have engineered and done everything we needed to do to make out an application for funds in 35 days? We had no budget to do it with. It was impossible that we could do that.
And they feel, and DOT feels the process works, there's no problem with it, it's not,
We're the only
Works for
town,
them.
yeah.
but you know, that's a 25%. You know, one out of 4 is 25%. When you're in school, you get below into 70% and you fail. I mean, they're 5 points from failing. You know.
I chuckled when the commissioner was sitting there, well, you know, I wrote, how did you say it several times, but about saying things because the Waterboro Road Commissioner is sitting right behind you.
And he said, if I was a road commissioner or a select person, I would want all I could get. He said, I can't fault them for wanting all they can get, but you can't fault us for, you know, doing the least we can do, pretty much is what he said, so.
You know, I'm thinking when you take that, when you take that video up there, if you had the ambulance passing, going over to the left lane, passing the car that couldn't pull over, that could be pretty dramatic. You know, it could be stopped pretty pretty easily. You could, one person could drive ahead, the ambulance with lights on, pull over to the edge of the.
You're not suggesting that we stage something, are you?
And then bring a person on, bring someone off 202 and.
We can write dramatization.
Yeah, that's right. Some scenes have been changed.
Don't try
By the
this.
way, there was
Yeah,
a
don't try this
discussion.
at home.
These are professionals.
There was a fair amount of discussion too on Saturday morning about this bill too. So and people were nodding and vocally in agreement with our position there. So I think the legislators that were there heard that.
Anybody got any other questions about that? It's coming time to post our roads, so you may see road postings go up. The temperature continues to stay up. I think that we're gonna have to do it. I've talked to Sean about people plowing snow into the road also, and I'm gonna talk to him about enforcing this weight on these roads, because we've spent a considerable amount of taxpayer dollars, and I think that they have the right to expect us to look out for their best interests as far as maintaining these roads. And they're up on Star Hill, logging, and I've been up there today and looked it over in another couple days, and I'm gonna post that road. It'll be the first one I post, because I think that they're doing sufficient damage to that road. So if you hear any complaints,
Do we have to have orange flags?
no,
In case.
these are orange, approved orange. All I gotta do is go buy some, I gotta have Tommy make us some, boards. We don't wrap ours around poles, we put them on boards and attach them, so we'll do that. Any questions about that? Last Sunday, we worked diligently, Tommy and myself, to have the transfer station ready to open at 1 o'clock. At noontime, we finished, salted it, and it was completely done. He received a call from one of the employees down there who had called Clint and told him that the transfer station hadn't been touched. I take exception to that. The transfer station was plowed, it was bare. What snow was on there was what snow fell in the matter between 12:08, I think it was, when I got out of the tractor, and when he got there at 12:30. There was absolutely no reason, and I think that that was detrimental to good relationships between the departments of the town. I wasn't gonna come tonight and say anything, but Tommy was quite upset because a couple people said something, and he said, we had it ready, and I wanted him to come, but he says he's not good about that, so I said, I'll mention it, and I just wanted you to know, if any of you heard that the dump was not plowed, it was plowed, and I had our trucks scrape and sand the road at 12:30, so that it was, you know, I would say under the weather conditions, it was as good as it could be. So, you know, the dump ended up getting closed, I guess. You told them to close it, but, you know, it wasn't because we hadn't maintained it. And Tommy was right there, and if it had needed to be scraped again, he could have scraped it, so.
So was the dump closed because it wasn't plowed, is that the reason? Was it-
No, I don't think there was any customers.
I told them they didn't have any customers by 2, that they wasn't there by 2, then, you know, they shut down. At that, but when I talked to them, they hadn't had anybody in.
I mean, I think that, that's something that, you know, sometime a policies should be set up about that. If you have a snowstorm and it's, I mean, mostly because, we was there for 4.5 hours plowing that. I mean, well, you spent, Tommy's on OT, you put the fuel in the trucks, you put the fuel in the tractor, you know, so you probably spent, $300 or $400 to plow the transfer station, which isn't open on Monday. We wouldn't have needed to plow it until the storm was all done. And we could have used our resources, somewheres else. You know, so I just think that maybe a policy should be developed. One thing.
I usually get a call from the manager, and then I was surprised when I get the call to say that.
Yeah. One other thing on these road turnbacks, you know, a lot of that has to do with residential driveways and their spacing along the main highways. I've always pushed the planning board to not allow, you know, line subdivisions on our main roads. Require them to put an internal a road with all the driveways coming off of the internal road. And if we're not careful, and if we don't do something about that, on these, you know, we got the West Road, we got the Woodlands Mills Road, we got the Townhouse Road out here, and if we're not more careful about that, we're gonna build ourselves into urban compact areas. And it's gonna cost the town a tremendous amount of money. And I think that is something that somebody's got to push forward, because you got to understand right now that if we take back just the rest of the state aid roads, it's nothing about the state roads that they're going to force us to take back. Just the state aid roads we got in town, we're going to add 15% of the gross roads total. We're going to go from roughly 60 miles to in excess of 70 odd miles of road that will be all town maintained road, you know. And any way you look at it, that's not road, most of it, that's up to snuff for what it's gonna take for the traffic over the coming years, especially the West Road with 37, I believe it is, buses running how many times a day up and down that road. The cost of the town is gonna be very expensive. And I think that, you know, you're gonna have to work on a plan so that if they wanna turn this back. I mean, we got bad bridges over there. I'm sure all of you are aware of what we've had, but.
Yep.
And, other than that, I don't think I got too much else.
Okay? Thanks.
One point on the Old Alfred Road. Once it does get transferred back to the town.
It has been.
It has been.
It has been, okay.
As of July 1 last year.
Oh, okay, all right. I misspoke when I talked to somebody earlier today. Can we post that road, no trucks?
No.
Why?
Because we've only taken management of the road, not control of the road.
That was one thing we asked
Okay,
DOT,
we don't-
remember
yeah,
we asked
yeah,
about
that's what I thought.
posting it to no trucks
See?
and we asked about reducing the speed limit.
And you couldn't post it to no trucks anyway, because there's no way in God's green earth that you can take the trucks coming off this townhouse road and turn them going either left or right when you hit Route 5, not until you have major reconstruction done on that intersection down there. Had the intersection been rebuilt, when the state wanted to rebuild it a few years ago, had the Taylor House not been turned back over to the National Register or National, so that they could have moved that road over. They only wanted to go like 5 feet, but they wouldn't let them, they wouldn't give the state the easement to do that. So that put the kibosh to that whole intersection. And until you take, I would guess, the stone wall down here, which is contentious, and then remove that house on the other side of the road, the old store, and increase that intersection there, there's just no possible way. But this is one of the things, Gordon, that you know, I brought up to them. I said, up there, you put $5.8 million into York County several years ago. 4.7 of it went on 117 for Poland Springs trucks. Now they've put how many $1 million on Route 112, and then last year they posted 112 to no trucks and sent all the trucks right down through here. And we can't do it. The state posted 112, part of it, and Saco posted part of it, I guess. But we can't do it because we've only been given back the responsibility of maintenance, not the responsibility of ownership. See, and to me that makes a huge difference. I've taken enough of your time.
And also with the intersection down here, there was another major project going off upstate on a certain bridge.
Yeah.
And they was running out of money and all of a sudden this project disappeared.
The other thing,
And I asked if it went for the bridge.
Someday, and this has been going on for as long ago as when Willie was up in the State House, right? They're gonna build Route 5, and
Yeah.
we'll all celebrate when that happens, because it's not happened in our lifetimes.
it was,
But they've redone from Limerick to Cornish how many times?
and I just keep telling you, they went from the store at the end of 17 in Aquasic. The state come up with $500,000 to build down to Haynes Landing, and the town come up with the rest of it. A road that goes absolutely, positively nowhere.
Yeah.
It goes from the store, and it stops when you drive into Mooslick McGundick. That's it. It goes absolutely nowhere. They $1 million into that piece of road, but they couldn't fix the old Elford Road. Boy, I'm telling you right now, some of this doesn't make any sense. The other thing that I meant to tell you, Nancy, and is that I've had 3 complaints in the last week about the lights down by Hannaford's going from red, flashing green, and then flashing back to red immediately. And a guy down there told me Saturday that he almost got whacked, and another person told me yesterday that they almost got whacked because the lights seem to, they'll be sitting there red. And in this last snowstorm, I pulled up and they were plowing the bank, and the car ahead of me pulled up and the red light turned red. And I looked and the guy immediately drove away. And the light, I guess, was green. It was red when I looked up again, but he claimed it turned green for a second and he took off. And it only stayed red for a second. So,
We'll have to call
but is
electric
that,
company.
is that light back to us again? It is, isn't it? Yeah, so we gotta look into that.
When
Sorry,
electric light company comes to, we should have them, did they show you yet how to change the lights down by the milk room?
They say they can't make them blink, but every time we lose power, they blink. They're supposed to blink from 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning. They're supposed to go on a yellow blink so the traffic doesn't stop going up 202. Did that for 10 or 15 years. They went on blink. They claim they can't do it. If we have a power outage, them things go right on to blink.
And we ought to put a switch on it, and they can just turn the switch to cut the power.
All right.
You all ready for more snow?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Thanks, Doug. Before we go into any further, and I don't know if we sent out the letter that would like to send up to DEP on the Juniper Hill thing? I know you've got it, the typed version here, but I'd like to at least add this to the new business so that we
So
can.
moved.
It's been moved to add the new
Second.
business, seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, under new business. Ecomaine and the Board of Directors have asked that each municipality send a letter to Heather Parent, who's the hearing officer for the Maine Department of Environmental Protection, relative to the Juniper Ridge landfill. If you recall, they've closed, Casella has closed and sold Merck to the city of Bedford. Part of what Casella wants is they are managing Juniper Ridge landfill for the state. State owns it. They want an amendment to the license so that they can bury municipal solid waste in that site. It's not allowed at this point. So there are three issues. There's a state waste hierarchy that says you recycle, you burn waste to create energy. The last possible thing that you do is to bury waste. So this is in direct conflict with the hierarchy that the state adopted many years ago. Beyond that, they're going to drive by 3 waste-to-energy plants with that waste on their way to Juniper Ridge, that they could dispose of that waste in a waste-energy plant. So this kind of outlines that, and all we're asking for is we will send a copy to Heather Parent, who's the hearing officer from the town of Waterboro. So if I could get a motion to that effect, I'd
So moved.
appreciate it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, we'll send that out. Thank you. Old business, just the budget workshop dates. I think we're into a workshop later this evening. And I guess we'll tell what else we're gonna do from that point. But by the sounds of things around the state, most everybody is ignoring, or at least trying to ignore the fact that state revenue sharing may or may not get cut off from the municipalities, but, so I guess we'll have to have a backup plan here. And then, town charter revisions implementation plan, I'd like to bring that back kind of for a little bit of a work next week on the agenda, so, we can bring everybody up to date on that.
Right. On that one, the information I gave to you on the budget committee, there was a little flurry of emails, and Dianne, Holden, and Jim Carll came up with a recommended some changes. I agree with them. I think they made it better. And then Steve Ross actually came up with a small piece too that could, I don't know if that is needed. I don't know if it goes into that is coming up with a chair and a deputy chair, whether that fits the charter or not. But I mean, it's easy to do, is to have a chair pro tem like we do. So anyway, the recommendations that Dianne and Jim came up with, I'm certainly in agreement with, and we'll have those done up for you next Tuesday, right? We're gonna take
Yep.
a vote on it then?
And I think you all have a copy of the first draft of the job description. If you want to critique that, if I left something out, I mean, all I did was try to pull 3 or 4 different ones together, so.
So is that all coming up in a workshop
Yeah, we'll
next Tuesday?
do, I guess we can have it as an old business item on the agenda, but it really should be an update of where we are and any input or discussion. And I also sent out a copy of the job description from Gray on one of the positions that's under town manager up there, so we could kind of get a feel for how that flows out. It just happens to be the administrative assistant, but, so you can kinda take a look at that. Okay, so we'll bring that up on the agenda next week. Other business, warrants and bills for payroll.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Pending decisions, public service announcements, driveway opening permit language, board and committee status, EDC, and charter changes. Week's action list, we've got the letter ready to go to DEP, so that was done other than signing. Discussion of agenda items, what would you like to add to next week's agenda? If anything. Okay, we'll play that as it goes. Items needing signature is warrants and bills for payroll. Quickly, let me go through the reminders, most of which have been canceled, but I'll mention it, Old Home Days Committee was scheduled for Thursday evening, that is now canceled. Library Board of Trustees is scheduled for Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Haven't heard whether that's canceled or not. Tuesday, March 5th, we're back here. Road Review Committee and Road Commissioner will be reporting. Wednesday, March 6th, the Planning Board meeting here, 7 p.m. Thursday, March 7th, Conservation Commission, 5 p.m. here in the Old Town Hall. Saturday, March 9th, and 8:30 a.m., the Cribbage Tournament. Monday, March 11th, 2020, Master Planning Committee, 5 p.m. over at the Central Station. Monday, March 11th, 5 p.m., Community Garden Committee in the Old Town Hall. 6 p.m., a quick hands-on seed starting project. Maybe there won't be any snow then, right? From newspaper plant pot making to soil mixing, anyway. Something about starting seeds.
Yeah, it's a follow-up from the February 20th meeting.
And then 2 weeks from tonight, back here in this meeting, and just to remind everybody, on the 12th, there will be the Eco Excellent Awards presentations at the Ecomaine facility in Portland. Anything else?
We're not approving the minutes of last week?
There are no minutes from last week. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
There was no one to do the minutes here last week,
Oh,
so. All right, anything else? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn to the budget workshop.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? All right, give us a couple minutes, David.